Good morning, everybody. It's Reverend Tim Kutzmark here from the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno, California. We are just about ready to begin worship in about 3 minutes. So this is a perfect time to get a cup of coffee, do a quick bio break. You could like our Facebook page or share this stream with all of your Facebook friends. Also, if you'd like to light a chalice with us at the start of the service, bring your chalice close or get a candle, and you'll be able to participate as well in that Unitarian Universalist ritual of hope. See you in about 3 minutes. Back to Lorenzo. Hola, soy Timoteo. Buenos dias, good morning. I'm Tim, minister of the Unitarian Universalist Church here in Fresno, California. And on behalf of all the members and friends, we welcome you to our Sunday time of being together, connected in community, connected in a community of love and caring. I want you to know something. I want you to know that you are welcome here. We welcome you no matter your age or your race or your cultural origin or your religious beliefs. We welcome you sin papeles y con papeles, with papers and without papers or documentation. We welcome you no matter your level of education or how much is in your bank account. If you are part of the LGBTQ plus community, you are part of our community. Please know that whoever you are, whatever you are, wherever you are in your journey, you are welcome. Todos son bienvenidos aquí. So as we prepare to begin our time together, momentarily, we will join Karen, Troy, and little Tony as they light the chalice. But as the chime sounds, let this sound guide you and take you to that wise and knowing part that is within us among us and beyond us.
Prendemos el cáliz esta mañana como un acto de persistencia. Para nosotros, esta llama es un símbolo de lo que sigue cuando parece que el mundo ha parado. Aunque nos encontramos en un territorio nuevo, ciertas cosas siguen igual. La luz, el amor, la esperanza. Estos siempre son presentes. Estos persisten. Que esta llama nos recuerde que estamos hechos de luz, amor y esperanza. Somos hechos para persistir.
We light the chalice this morning as an act of persistence. For us, this flame is a symbol of that which continues when it seems as if the world has stopped. Although we find ourselves in new territory, certain things stay the same. Light, love, hope, these are always present. These persist. May this flame remind us we are made of light, love, and hope. We are made to persist.
As we rest in the light of love, let us join our voices together and sing our beloved Unitarian Universalist hymn, Spirit of Life, Fuente de Amor.
Spirit of life, come unto me, sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion, blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings to set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Fuente de amor, ven hacia mí, y al corazón, cántale tu compasión. Sopla al volar, sube en la mar, hasta moldear la justicia de la vida. Arraígame, libérame, fuente de amor, ven a mí, ven a mí.
¿Qué tal, everybody? Soy Danny. Hello, everyone. I'm Danny, and for the Time for All Ages today, I wanted to let you know that we are actually doing a Time for All Ages that we have all written together. Earlier this week on Facebook, I put out a call for song lyrics about joy, and I have interwoven those lyrics that you gave me into the story that we are doing today. So, once upon a time, there was a searcher of truth who decided to set out on a journey to discover where joy was. The searcher wondered where joy resided. And so she set out thinking, every day is a faded sign. I get a little bit closer to feeling fine. Soon she came upon an owl sitting in a tree trunk in a park. The bird seemed wise, and so she told it of her quest. And he answered, the colors of the rainbow so pretty in the sky, also on the faces of the people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're only saying, I love you. While the words of the owl felt true, she couldn't help feeling there was more. So she continued on her journey. Next, she came upon 2 swans in a lake. They seemed so graceful and content. She thought maybe they would have the wisdom she sought. They looked at each other and said, "Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you? Through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance." The searcher danced away, their words echoing in her thoughts, but knowing that there was still more to the answers about joy. She traveled much further down into a swamp where she intercepted a turtle on her path. They began talking, and she told him she worried she would never find the answer to true joy. He said, "Don't worry about a thing, because every little thing is going to be all right." Encouraged, she continued her search. Soon, she came upon a road that had been washed out by a raging river. She wondered how she would get by and continue her search. It was then she saw a group of beavers working on a dam. She asked them for passage and told them of her search about joy. Instead of answering, they questioned, "Does it worry you to be alone? How do you feel by the end of the day? Are you sad because you're on your own?" "No," she answered. "I get by with a little help from my friends." And so they let her pass. But still, she was worried she had not found the answer. She traveled through parks and forests and swamps and into a desert and up a mountaintop. And as she walked, she looked up to the universe and said, "I'm floating in a most peculiar way. The stars look very different today." To her surprise, she heard an answer. A child appeared from behind her and spoke. "Please say to me, you'll let me hold your hand? I want to hold your hand." The child led her from where she was lost on her path to the way home. As she walked, she swore that she could hear the moon beginning to encourage her and whispering, "Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it feels like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun. And I say, it's all right." The sun began to rise just as she saw her home on the hill. Arriving back, she wrote in her journal about her search for joy. "It's a sad and a strange thing, but it's time, and I am changing into something good or bad. Well, that's your guess. And it's all right. It's all right. It's all right." She had discovered that joy appears and fades, but its possibility is always present, if only we are open to the journey.
So will you take a nice deep breath in with me? Let's take a breath in and just hold it for a moment and then release that breath. And another deep breath in. Hold it just a moment and release that breath. One more. In. Let's just hold and release that breath. As we each breathe in our own way, in our own pace, in our own depth, know that something remarkable is happening this morning. Our breath is joining us all together into one community of love. What the Jewish tradition calls ruach, the breath of life, what the yogic tradition calls prana, that energy breath of life. And as we continue to breathe together, I invite you to let that breath carry you back over the last 7 days of your living, the gift of the last week that was yours to discover. And as your heart and mind drifts back over those days, acknowledge if there was any time where you were unskillful in perhaps thought or word, or action. And just gently acknowledge that unskillfulness. And then take another deep breath, breathing in peace, holding a moment, and breathing out love into this world. And as we continue breathing together in community, let that breath carry you back yet again over those days, and give thanks for the beauty you saw. Give thanks for the love that maybe reached out and surrounded you. And as we breathe together, let that breath now carry you towards the next 7 days, the gift of your living and your life. What is it that you need in the next 7 days from your God, from your higher power, from your own self, from the universe? What is it that you need to be able to move more fully into the next week? One of the things that I love about our Unitarian Universalist faith is that it welcomes every part of ourselves. It welcomes our doubts, it welcomes our questions, it welcomes our answers that are ever changing because life changes. It welcomes those parts of ourselves that are so bright and beautiful, and those parts of ourselves that are more broken or jagged. Here there is space for all of your joys, all of your sorrows, and all of your gratitudes. If you are feeling a personal joy, concern, sorrow, or gratitude, I invite you to just type that into the chat box so we share that with each other. Be sure not to use last names if you're mentioning the name of someone just because the world is watching. And as we type in community those things that are most important to us this morning, I ask that we collectively hold the family of Bill H. in our hearts as Betty and his family grieve Bill's loss and celebrate his long and beautiful life. We surround Chloe with our love for upon the death of her grandma. We want to remember Laura and Karin and Al. We remember Rich, who was hospitalized yesterday for a reason other than the virus. We surround our beloved April with our thoughts, and we remember Sue. We remember Linda S. and Nellie Ann, Robin, Glenda, Pat, Betty and Bill N. We remember Glenda. We also wish a happy 52nd anniversary to Patty B and Tim P. Also, I want to invite you to join me in holding in our hearts those frontline medical professionals, those medical workers who are risking their life to keep us safe. So we say thank you. And if you want to express your thanks to those medical professionals, would you just hit the number 1 and press that into the chat box? If you want to send some love to those folks, just hit the number 1 and send those thoughts into the world. We also want to give a shout out to those working in the grocery business who, at considerable risk to themselves, serve us and our community. Those empty store shelves are being restocked, and may that also remind us of where our food actually comes from. America's farms, where farmers and farm workers soldier on in their responsibility to feed a nation in a time of peril. We also want to acknowledge that some of us are struggling now with joblessness, and we send out peace and courage and strength to you. I also want to acknowledge that for those of us who are members of the LGBTQIA+ community, this virus may be triggering thoughts of the early days of the AIDS crisis. And I just want to acknowledge that for a certain generation, that may be touching and giving us all a bit of PTSD. So I want to really acknowledge and be gentle to yourself. We are mourning today the loss of civil rights leader, the Reverend Joseph Lowery, who died at 98 years old. He co-founded the Southern Christian Leadership Conference with Martin Luther King. We also know that Tuesday is Cesar Chavez Day. And so we celebrate his legacy, the legacy that he, but also Dolores Huerta, created in terms of justice and equality. Si se puede, si se puede. And so, for all that has been written in the chat box, for all that has been spoken aloud, for all that we are holding in the depths of the sacredness of our own hearts, we light our candle of community. And today, we light a second candle for the over 32,000 deaths worldwide to the COVID-19. Our call to meditation is comfort me. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Consuélame, oh mi alma. Háblame, speak to me, oh mi alma, oh my soul. Let us sing together. Comfort me.
Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Consuélame, 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 oh mi alma. Consuélame, 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 oh mi alma. Speak to me, speak to me, speak to me, oh my soul. Speak to me, speak to me, speak to me, oh my soul. Háblame, 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 oh mi alma. Háblame, 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 oh mi alma. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul.
The sounds have comforted people through the ages. The sound of the Muslim call to prayer brings comfort. The sound of the shofar sounding in the synagogue brings comfort. The sound of church bells ringing in the town or in the countryside. Likewise, the sound of this Buddhist meditation bowl crafted by hand in the 1600s has sounded out through the centuries. It is sounded out in times of bounty and blessing and celebration. It's also sounded out in times of famine, of war, and of plague. And this morning, it sounds again for us, for our comfort. Our words of prayer and reflection come from the writings of Michael Lunig, adapted. Fuente de amor, spirit of life, fountain of love, spirit of wonder and mystery, God of continuous unfolding. We pray for the fragile ecology of the heart and the mind, the sense of meaning so finely assembled and balanced and so easily overturned. A careful, ongoing construction of love, as painful and exhausting as the struggle for truth, and as easily abandoned. Hard fought and won are the shifting sands of this sacred ground, easy to desecrate and difficult to defend, this vulnerable joy, this exposed faith, this precious order, this sanity. Let us be careful with others and with ourselves. We shall be careful with life and with this earth planet we call home. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen.
Path to Joy, a poem. Look to the little ones for joy, for they know where to find it. All the times I searched for that elusive path to happiness, I needed only to follow the eyes of a little one. Blade of grass, squish of mud, whir of a garbage truck. Look, look, a leaf is falling. A petal takes its place. That sound, a distant dog. Na, 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 da, 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 da. My mouth makes new noises. Clap, clap, I have the music. Juicy pulp of a bright round fruit. Mas, mas, mas yogurt. Sleepy song, sunshine, smiles, wonderful world, mommy. Spinning round and round and round, wherever we land, little one's eyes point to peace. Seek the joy, find the wonder. All the times I searched for the perfect path to joy, only to find, through a little one's eyes, the path was all around me.
He felt like he would never feel joy again. Abdul had just turned 12 in April of 1992, when a time of unrest, uncertainty, and violence again descended upon Afghanistan. That was where he lived, outside the capital city of Kabul. Abdul came of age during 4 years of unrelenting civil war. His father was a peasant farmer who tended a vineyard where Abdul and his 2 brothers worked. When that civil war broke out between rival Mujahideen warlords, his father's beautiful, lush vineyard was caught in crossfire. Soon, it was partially filled with craters where rocket shells had exploded. A week after the shelling began, Abdul, his father, and his 2 brothers went to work in the vineyard as they always did early each morning. That morning, they discovered in the most life-shattering of ways that rival militia had hidden landmines amidst the grapes. That morning, Abdul lost his older brother, Bahiri. Abdul remembers. In the blink of an eye, we went from life as usual to being afraid to step outside the front door. We didn't know what was waiting to hurt us or take our life away. Even as we were grieving the loss of my brother, we became virtual prisoners in our house. Abdul continues. All the familiar rituals of community support disappeared because everyone was afraid to gather together, even in a small group. We lost our sense of community. We lost our commonality. Food was scarce, and there were days when it seemed like only a few crumbs of bread was his only meal. I remember everyone being sad, says Abdul. No one smiled. There was no happiness in anyone's eyes. That changed during a calm spell, when his father went out foraging and came back with kebabs, bread, and a gigantic fresh purple eggplant. Best of all, Abdul's father had with him 4 cans of cold Coca-Cola, one for mother, father, younger brother, and Abdul. Abdul smiles as he recalls the moment his father proclaimed, "We may be scared and sad, but if we are going to survive this, we have to give ourselves permission to feel a little joy." Abdul says, "I will never forget that huge smile breaking out on my younger brother's face as he opened that can of Coke and drank it in absolute all-consuming pleasure." Poet Mary Oliver writes, "If you suddenly and unexpectedly feel joy, don't hesitate, give into it. There are plenty of lives and whole towns destroyed or about to be. Still, life has possibility left. Perhaps this is its way of fighting back, that sometimes something happens better than all the riches or power in the world. It could be anything, but very likely you notice it in the instant when love begins." Anyways, that's often the case. Anyway, whatever it is, don't be afraid of its plenty. Joy is not made to be a crumb. I love that. Joy is not made to be a crumb. I shared in a sermon a few months ago that New York Times columnist David Brooks suggests there's a difference between happiness and joy. Happiness, he says, is what we feel when something good or pleasant happens to us. Happiness it's a personal feeling of satisfaction. Happiness is what Abdul's younger brother felt as he drank down that can of Coke. But joy is what we feel when something good happens to someone else. Joy is what Abdul felt watching his brother drink down that can of Coca-Cola. Happiness is personal, but joy is transpersonal. Joy is communal because it can only be experienced when we are connected to someone else. So yesterday, when I ate my takeout dinner of spicy chicken from the Phoenician Gardens Middle Eastern restaurant at First and Herden, I felt happy because it tasted so amazingly good. Something pleasant happened to me, and I was happy. But you know what? I also felt joy because I knew that my purchasing that takeout meant that the restaurant owners and employees would have work and money coming in at a time when many of us do not. Knowing that they were happy gave me a sense of joy. Happiness can come from seeing a spring flower outside your window, an email or call from a friend who is thinking about you, or a cold can of Coca-Cola. Joy can come from watching someone figure out how to use Zoom on their iPhone for the first time, or seeing your child laughing at a silly meme. Or joy can come from knowing that your dear friend made it through another day without an elevated temperature. In these uncharted times like we are living in now, sometimes we need to give ourselves permission to feel happiness and joy. If you felt happiness because of something pleasant that happened to you this week, would you hit the letter H in your chat box? And if you felt joy because of something good that happened to someone else this week, would you hit the letter J in the chat box? And while we're doing that, I also want to clarify that if you have times when you cannot feel joy or happiness, you are not alone. Those of us who struggle with depression or are grieving the loss of a loved one might feel cut off from joy and happiness some or all of the time. If this is true for us, treatment with therapy or medication might help. At the very least, reach out to someone or send me an email. Happiness and joy are core principles of our Unitarian Universalist faith. At a time when many churches were teaching that the purpose of life was to obey God, please God, or fear God, or we would be thrown into the fires of hell, our Universalist forebears believed something amazingly different. They said that if there was a God, then that God was all loving and would never condemn anybody to eternal damnation. Our Universalist forebears believed there was enough love in the universe for everyone, enough love for everyone. They believed, as we do today, that all people, no matter who they are, all people are worthy of love and respect. Unitarian Universalists believe that the purpose of religion is to expand the boundaries of our heart so we can hold more and love more. We remember that there is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love. Would you echo that back with me? There is a love holding us. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love. We rest in this love. My spiritual friends, from this connection to love, we are free to meet our life with anticipation and awareness. We are free to claim and find moments of happiness and moments of joy. Joy that, as Mary Oliver writes, we are very likely to notice in the instant when love begins. Joy is not meant to be a crumb. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen.
We laugh, we cry, we live, we die. We laugh, dance, we sing our song. We need to feel there's something here to which we can belong. We need to feel the freedom just to have some time alone. But most of all, we need close friends we can call our very own. And we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found a need to be together. We have our hearts to give. We have our thoughts to receive. And we believe that sharing is an answer. Our lives are full of wonder and our time is very brief. The death of one among us fills the vault with pain and grief. But as we live, so shall we die, and when our lives are done, the memories we shared with friends, they will linger on, and we believe in life and in the strength of love, and we have found a time to be together. We have the right to grow, we have the gift to believe that peace within our living is an answer. We seek elusive answers to the questions of this life. We seek to put an end to all the waste of human strife. We search for truth, equality, and blessed peace of mind. And then we come together here to make sense of what we find. And we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found a joy being together. And in our search for peace, maybe we'll finally see, even to question truly is an answer. And peace within our living is an answer.
Peace within our living is an answer. Did you know that the mission of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno is to love inclusively, grow spiritually, serve gratefully, and work for justice? Amar inclusivamente, crecer, espiritualmente servir, con gratitud y trabajar por la justicia. But you know something? We need you. We need your help in order to make this mission of ours become manifest in the world. And that requires our time, our talent, and yes, my friends, it also includes your treasure. This week, our income stream dropped by 50%. And we are committed to continuing to pay our staff during this time. And we really want to continue to bring our Unitarian Universalist message and love into the world. And so we need you, as you're able, to help us out financially. There's many ways that you can take the love in your heart and transform it into an offering to our spiritual community. If you have Cash App, you can send your offering to $UU Fresno. And you can also go to our website, uufresno.org. And if you click on giving, you'll have the opportunity to make your offering in gratitude, either by PayPal or directly by a credit card. And you can also make your offering this morning by text. Just text the amount that you wish to give to 855-497-7462. So just text the amount that you would like to give, and the minimum amount is actually $3. It won't accept less than that. But Bill Gates, if you're listening, we're happy to take $3 million. And when you text that amount, you're going to get a text message back, and you just follow that link, and it will take you to where you can make that offering. And of course, you can always make your gift to our community the old-fashioned way. Just write a check, lick a stamp, and pop it in the mail. And you can find our address on our website. We say thank you for saying yes. Back to some music.
Hi, everybody. I'm back again with a few announcements. We want to thank everyone who voted for Reverend Tim's socks. And the Sunday sock voting was fierce, but ultimately the dog socks run out and they were selected over the penguins and the walruses. So thank you all for participating and voting and helping to keep our online community as vibrant as always. I want to remind everyone that after the service, you can join us for social and coffee hour via Zoom. The Zoom address and the phone number will be shown at the end of the service. And I want to remind everybody that 5 minutes after the worship service ends, I will be going live with family time for family engagement activities that everybody can do together. And you can do them whether you're a family of 1 or a family of 15. So I invite you to join us and participate in ways that we can be together even as we're physically apart. If you want to know more about some of our online programs that we connect with, you can go to the website at uufresno.org. That's www.uufresno.org, and you can select updates. And there you'll find a list of all of our Zoom activities on list form. And there's also a calendar if you prefer a kind of a visual layout. And you can just click the links on the calendar and it'll take you right to the specific Zoom meeting that you're trying to get into. If you want to learn more about our church and Unitarian Universalism, or find out how you can get involved with all of the wonderful things that we're doing here, you can reach us at connections@uufresno.org. That's connections@uufresno.org. And now we're going to send it over to the Polnitz family to help us extinguish our chalice.
From our home to yours, we are so grateful to have spent this time with you this morning. Extinguimos esta llama, pero no la luz de la verdad, el calor de comunidad o el fuego de nuestro compromiso. Estos los llevaremos en el corazón. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts.
My dear ones, as we prepare to say goodbye, I ask you to gently and lovingly place your precious hands upon your heart. Go now in peace. May you leave this place knowing you are good and knowing you are loved. Take your love, share it with the world. Stay safe until we meet again. And may the longtime sun shine upon you, all love surround you, and that pure light that is within you guide your way on. Blessed be. Amen.
Go from here in peace, go with love. Go from here in peace, go with love. Go from here in peace, go with love. In love, go in peace. Shalom and assalamu alaikum.
Yeah.